Hi everyone, this is Teacher Tess. Welcome to Totally True Book 3. This is Unit 14, and today's topic is Iceman. In this picture, you can see a man inside a block of ice. Now, let's read the story and find out why this man is inside this block of ice. This story happened in New York City, USA. I will read this first in a slow-paced mode. Then you can join me in reading the story again in a fast-paced mode. Let's start. Imagine standing inside a thick block of ice for 3 days. That's what performance artist David Blaine did in 2001. I felt like I had lost my mind, he said later. Blaine was trapped in ice in the middle of Times Square, wearing only boots, pants, and a shirt, and a hat. Only 2 inches separated his body from the ice. He had to stay awake because if his chest fell against the ice, he could freeze to death. Air and water came through tubes. For Blaine, this was a test to see how much his body and mind could take. New Yorkers and tourists encouraged him to go on by holding up signs. After 62 hours, Blaine couldn't take it any longer. He screamed to get out. I thought that I had died, he said later. His companions broke open the ice and Blaine stepped out. It was finally over. Blaine recovered in the hospital. Blaine has done many other unusual stunts. In 1999, he was buried alive for 7 days, and in 2003, he hung over London in a glass box for 44 days without food. Blaine has many fans. It would be a dull world, said one, if people didn't occasionally do something silly. Now, students, please join me in reading the story again in a fast-paced mode. Let's start now. Imagine standing inside a thick block of ice for 3 days. That's what performance artist David Blaine did in 2001. I felt like I had lost my mind, he said later. Blaine was trapped in ice in the middle of Times Square, wearing only boots, pants, and a shirt and a hat. Only 2 inches separated his body from the ice. He had to stay awake because if his chest fell against the ice, he could freeze to death. Air and water came through tubes. For Blaine, this was a test to see how much his body and mind could take. New Yorkers and tourists encouraged him to go on by holding up signs. After 62 hours, Blaine couldn't take it any longer. He screamed to get out. I thought that I had died, he said later. His companions broke open the ice and Blaine stepped out. It was finally over. Blaine recovered in the hospital. Blaine has done many other unusual stunts. In 1999, he was buried alive for 7 days, and in 2003, he hung over London in a glass of box for 44 days without food. Blaine has many fans. It would be a dull world, said one, if people didn't occasionally do something silly. Well, students, please don't forget to read again this story about David Blaine. Now, students, let's read some of the new words that we encountered in the story. Block, mind, trap, separate, chest, freeze, encourage, sign, break open, over, recover, dull, occasionally, silly. Now, Let's make sentences using some of these words. Here I want to use the word block, and you can read this word here. David Blaine was inside a thick block of ice. Next is the word, let's choose the word freeze, okay? And you can read this word here, the word freeze. Then let's make a sentence. Oh, the sentence here. He could freeze to death. Now let's use the word encourage, and this is the word encourage. The sentence is, I encourage my sister to study hard. Next is the word over, and you can read this word here. This one, okay? It was finally over. Next is the word silly, and you can find this word here. My sentence is, don't do any silly things. Well, students, I hope that you can also make your own sentence using the following words here, okay? Now, it's time for us to rate our story. What about you, students? Did you like our story for today? I really hope so. Now, in this part, how much did you like the story? You're going to mark an X. So, you're going to mark from number 1 to number 5. If you're going to mark number 1, that means you don't like it, and number 5, that means you really like the story. In my case, I just want to rate it to number 4. This story is good, but this, the things that he did, it's not really good, okay? So kids, don't try this in your house, okay? Don't, okay? Only David Blaine can do this. Well, anyway, please don't forget to watch the video again. Once again, this is Teacher Tess, and I'll see you next time as we explore this book together. Bye!